Hello, and thank you for joining us on Weather Out West on this Tuesday, November 18th. Here's what we're tracking for you today. The rain that has been drenching the West Coast is now moving inland, heading toward the desert and the mile-high city. This as new systems move toward the West Coast as well. We'll have your weather impact forecast from Phoenix and Denver to begin. Plus, a stern warning from Pope Leo as the second week of United Nations climate talks begin. His message to world leaders about climate change. And the acting chief of FEMA is stepping down after hurricane season. Why he is stepping down and what it means for the organization moving forward. Plus, with all the rain we have been getting, how do scientists stay prepared for the storms to come? We'll show you how they gather atmospheric river data. Happy Tuesday and welcome to Weather Out West, the hour-long show where we showcase what's happening weather-wise across the western United States. I'm your host, meteorologist Leah Pizzetti. We begin today in Arizona, where the heavy rain is now heading. We've been following this storm as it worked its way down the west coast from the northwest to California, and now it's moving inland. Let's get straight to meteorologist Ginger Jeffries with a track of the rain in the desert.
I'm meteorologist Ginger Jeffries with a look at weather out west, where it is going to be on the wet side. Yes, this is a storm we have been tracking since last week. We saw the leading edge, the first round, basically all that atmospheric river moisture move on through over the weekend. But again, that was the warm side. This is going to be the cold air element, and there's quite a bit of moisture to go around. Enough so that we've got the attention of the National Weather Service. Rain watch. We've got a flood potential for the areas you see here in green. So it does spill over into Nevada and California, basically including just the northwest portion of our state. And this is going to go through 5 a.m. tomorrow. So even though we've got showers across the state today, we're not done today. It's going to spill on over into tomorrow. So take a look. Yeah, see all the rain icons? It's basically hitting everywhere other than the southeast corner. So Tucson and Safford, you should escape the moisture, but because so much is close, you could spring a leak. Meantime, the focus should be on the west side of the state and in the higher elevations. Still though, Phoenix, Gila Bend, we're going to see some showers today, and some of them could get dynamic in nature. So yeah, we could see some pop-up thunderstorms. As a result, we've got a weather impact alert for you today and tomorrow. And remember that cold air element? Well, yeah, we're going to feel it by tomorrow. So low 70s today, which yes, is below the normal range. And then we're dropping down in the 60s. And even though the main rain event should be done on Wednesday, that cold air, it is here to stay, which also means we're looking for some snow. So today and tomorrow, periods of rain could get heavy at times. So give a heads up. Don't drive through any of those flooded areas. And of course, you're going to need your umbrella this go around, unlike what we saw over the weekend. So as you can see, a lot of the dynamic nature is on the west side of the region. Basically, take 17 and split the state in half. Again, a lot of it should stay on that side, but not all of it. We're going to get some spillover. I'm looking for the east side of the metro to pick up maybe a ½ inch of rain. And then after we get through today, you're going to notice through tomorrow, the lighter green is where we've got that potential for some rain. The darker green is where we should be picking up that measurable rainfall. And I hope you saw some of the pink on the board there too, because that means snow is going to be coming down. We should get the first measurable snowfall. We got 3 inches in Snowbowl, but I'm expecting some snow to actually accumulate in downtown Flagstaff in the next 24 to 36 hours. So here's the way it's going to break down. Even though the main rain event, as I mentioned, is done by Wednesday, we're going to hold on to this moisture even through Saturday. And look at this. Is there another round coming? Yep, I know it's a long range forecast, but we've got some more moisture on the horizon. So let's focus on today in Phoenix. Showers and thunderstorms, daytime highs dropping to 72 degrees. I think at Sky Harbor here in downtown Phoenix, the best opportunity for rain will be before 10 o'clock. We get a little lull in the action, and then more saturation is coming our way after about the 6 o'clock hour. But remember, these temperatures are definitely going to stay on the mild side. Let's check it out. 7-day forecast shows, yep, rain and snow in Flagstaff. Temps dropping into the upper 30s by Thursday. Ooh, boy, that is chilly. And here in the Valley of the Sun, not so sunny. We've got moisture moving through, potential through Friday. But again, I think the heavy lifting will be today and tomorrow.
Thank you, Ginger. The town of Frisco, Colorado is heating up for the holidays with wassail days going on November 29th through December 7th. Locals and visitors can stroll through the town, sample hot spiced cider or wassail from more than 50 businesses, and vote for their favorite recipe. Wassail is a traditional English spiced mulled cider or ale beverage. It's delicious. The festivities kick off Small Business Saturday with caroling, tree lighting, and fireworks at Frisco Historic Park. There will also be Santa visits, of course, breakfast with Santa, of course, story time with reindeer, I didn't know they could read, and free gift wrapping at the visitor center. And that festival and those hot drinks will come in handy in Colorado this week as that storm moves inland and brings rain and snow chances to the Mile High City and surrounding communities. Meteorologist Chris Bianchi and Jaden Knowles are in Denver with the forecast there.
And on 9 News Weather Impact Team meteorologist Chris Bianchi here in Denver, Colorado, where it has still not snowed, and we are at our first measurable snow on record for us in Denver. That might change later this week, but in the mountains today, 40s, 50s, 60s, eastern plains for us on this Tuesday, November the 18th, close to 10 degrees above average. So we're continuing our warm and dry start to our November and our fall season, generally speaking as well. But that cutoff low that's affecting our friends here in California, Nevada, and Arizona today, that will spin its way in our direction for Thursday and Friday, and that'll bring us some decent mountain snow. And boy, do we need it, our snow in the mountains. It's been rough going up there in the high country. Anybody who's seen a single webcam from the high country knows here in Colorado, the mountains basically no snow up there, and that is very unusual for this point of November, but that will likely change with this storm system. That'll bring some decent snow to the San Juan Mountains. That's our southwestern mountains here in Colorado, and to the San Luis Cristos, the Saguache West Elk Mountains. So this would be really the I-70 corridor on south. You're thinking about Crested Butte, Purgatory, Wolf Creek, as well as Aspen, Snowmass. Those would be the mountains that would be most favored out of this setup for us with that heaviest snow. But in Denver, I mentioned we haven't had any snow yet. We'll get some rain. We need the rain. We've gone without a single raindrop or a snowflake for over 3 weeks in Denver. But on Thursday night, we'll get a decent hit of rain. We need that, as I mentioned, and that may end in some snow. Better chance for snow above 6,000 feet in our southern and western suburbs in the foothills and on the Palmer Divide. So that 7-day forecast overall, hey, we need that rain. We'll take it, whether it comes in a frozen form in snow or in a liquid form, of course, with rain and much cooler temperatures Thursday and Friday before we gradually dry out and warm back up again for Saturday, Sunday, and into next week.
I'm Weather Impact Team meteorologist Jaden Knowles here in Denver, Colorado, and it has been over 200 days since we even seen a snowflake here in the metro area. 213 days to be exact was the last time that we did see a snowflake. That was April 19th, and that makes the longest on record. And this data goes back over 140 years. And fun fact as well, 214 days was the last measurable snowfall. So speaking of measurable snowfall, the latest first snows on record. Here's the top 5 so far. Of course, this is going to be updated. And today is November 18th. Tomorrow's November 19th. Oh, well. There it is right there. November 19th back in 1931 is in third place. We will be tied for third place as we head into tomorrow. There's still no signs of snow in the forecast, at least for today or tomorrow. And that is very unusual. Usually by this time of year, we've already seen our first snowfall as well as just even a snowflake. And on average, our first snowfall is October 18th. But overall, the difference between the two, flakes are just snowflakes, no accumulation. Measurable snow is actually accumulation in at least 1/10 of an inch at the airport. So far, nothing like that, but fingers crossed that we get our first snowfall as we head to the end of the week.
All right, hoping for that snow. Well, Pope Leo is urging world leaders to take concrete actions to tackle climate change. In a video message to leaders at the UN's COP30 climate summit in Brazil, the pontiff criticized a lack of action on the environment.
Hope and determination must be renewed, not only in words and aspirations, but also in concrete actions. The Paris Agreement has driven real progress and remains our strongest tool for protecting people and the planet. But we must be honest. It is not the agreement that is failing. We are failing in our response. What is failing is the political will of some. True leadership means service and support at a scale that will truly make a difference.
The Pope's message comes as countries at the United Nations climate talks enter the second week. Vulnerable nations have pressed for more ambition at these talks as world leaders have begun to acknowledge that the Earth is expected to exceed the limit of 2.7 degrees Fahrenheit warming since pre-industrial times. Still ahead after the break, California is still soggy. Your forecasts for the Golden State are up next. Welcome back. San Diego has settled into a wet pattern with multiple back-to-back storms moving in through a one-week span. And while this current storm is not anticipated to be as intense as the one over the past weekend, some San Diegans are concerned about the cumulative effects of all of this precipitation coming down in a relatively short period of time. In southeastern San Diego, many residents who endured catastrophic flooding last year remain on high alert just in case. They say they've been constantly monitoring the storm channel near their homes, which city crews have been keeping clean.
I think we're going to make it through this week because it's so much cleaner than what it was before, but we're going to be watching.
Yeah, as long as this keeps clearing out the water, I'm not too concerned, but if it gets worse than it was, then yeah, I'm definitely concerned.
While these rains bring elevated risks of flooding as well as dangerous driving conditions, many residents we spoke with say they're glad that this could mean the end of the fire risk this year. And with that, let's send things over to meteorologist Vanessa Paz in San Diego, who is watching the next storm set to arrive this week.
Happy Tuesday. I'm CBS 8 meteorologist Vanessa Paz here in San Diego, California. So we have had a parade of storms arrive since last weekend. And last night, Monday evening, we had our second of 3 storms. Activity peaked overnight, but we are continuing to see showers linger as we get into our Tuesday. So here's what the National Weather Service has in terms of our 24-hour rainfall totals. The coastal areas were big winners by far. I mean, San Onofre, which is in the North County here in San Diego, got close to an inch of rain. Meanwhile, Carlsbad Fallbrook got anywhere between 6 to 8/10 of an inch. And downtown San Diego International Airport got well over an inch from this secondary system. And we're not even done. We have another third and final one arriving Thursday and Friday, which we'll get into in a moment. I do want to showcase our satellite and radar composite because what we're seeing right now are just the outer bands of area low that is continuing to bring some isolated showers for us here in San Diego. But notice how the bulk of the rain from this same system now is pushing just to our east in Imperial County, right over the borders of Nevada, Arizona, as well as California. And it's also providing some light isolated thunderstorms out in western Arizona. So here is what the rainfall forecast looks like. Again, this is for us around the 2-3 o'clock hour. We're looking at some light isolated showers pushing through this afternoon. It will dry out this evening and will stay dry on Wednesday. It looks like Wednesday will be one of the driest days of the week. And then we are going to have our third and final system arriving as early as 3-4 o'clock on Thursday. It's looking fairly light in comparison to some of the systems that we had over the weekend and yesterday. But again, it's just going to add on the totals, some nice totals for what we saw again with this series of storms. As we take a look at our rainfall estimates, this is from our third and final system, and we're expecting anywhere between 3 to 7/10 of an inch, maybe greater out in Fallbrook. And it's a weaker system, but it's a lot more widespread than last night's. All right, taking a look at our water year here in San Diego. This is data for San Diego International Airport. So far, our water year has started off with a bang. I mean, we are looking at so far anywhere between 2 inches to about 3/4 on average. We should have only seen just less than 9/10 of an inch. So that puts us at a surplus of close to 2 inches. And I assure you, by the time we get to that third and final system, that surplus will likely be hovering around that 2-inch mark. All right, a mix of sun and clouds out there. We are starting the day off rather cool in the 50s from downtown all the way to Escondido, low 40s out in Julian. As we take a look at what San Diego is expecting in terms of daytime highs versus where we should be for this time of year, we'll be anywhere between 8 to nearly 15 degrees below seasonal. Taking a look at our 7-day forecast along the coastal areas, we're talking about mid to low 60s tomorrow all the way through Friday, close to 70 degrees this weekend. So the good news is I know there are a lot of weekend plans. Maybe people have Friendsgiving or some of those holiday events. It looks like the weather will be cooperating for us here in San Diego come Saturday and Sunday. We are looking at really cold nights though. So despite drying out and warming up slightly, the evenings are going to remain brisk. Here's a quick look at what we're expecting along the mountains and deserts for the next 7 days.
Now to Northern California. Parts of the Sierra Nevada mountains are buried under fresh snow. A strong storm dumped several inches of snow across the various elevations yesterday, with more coming in this week. The storm is welcome news to ski resorts as they get ready to open for the season.
Thanksgiving is kind of the big first week for Tahoe. So with that, you can see Truckee going to start getting real busy, beds are going to start filling up, the restaurants will be bustling, and that's when a lot of these ski resorts always plan their projected opening date. If you look around the lake, it's anywhere from this week to next week.
The resorts are hoping skiers and snowboarders will begin arriving on the slopes in the next few days. Hopefully they do. Like we mentioned, we have more rain and snow expected this week. Let's get now to meteorologist Brendan Minchef in Sacramento with the arrival for Northern California.
Hey, meteorologist Brendan Minchef here in Sacramento, and it has been a rainy weekend and a rainy start to the work week. So we're drying out today, but here's as of 4 o'clock some of the rainfall totals that we've seen. Over 3 inches in Angels Camp. Really, the area of the area that's seen the heaviest rain has been south of Sacramento, south of Interstate 80 in the San Joaquin Valley and in the Mother Lode. So Angels Camp, Stockton, Sonora, Modesto, and then we work our way into the metro area. Folsom 1.7 inches, Elk Grove 1.3, Sacramento over an inch here. But Vacaville and Marysville, the further north and west you go, the less rain that we've seen. And ski resorts aren't open yet, so we don't have widespread snow reports, but we do have a few. Bear Valley at 18 inches over the weekend, Boreal at 9 inches, Mount Rose and Palisades Tahoe at 8 inches, and the UC Berkeley Central Sierra Snow Lab almost 7 inches of snow through the weekend. So here's where we are on the water year. 4.81 inches so far. Of course, water year started on October 1st. Our average today is 1.6 inches, so we are 3.21 inches, about 3 inches and a quarter above normal on the water year. And a lot of that rain has fallen in November, almost 3 inches in Sacramento this month. We average only to date 3/4 of an inch. So again, the month of November to date is over 2 inches above normal. So we're doing really great here in Sacramento, but it's not just Sacramento. It's Stockton, it's Modesto, it's San Francisco, Monterey, all the way down the coast. In fact, everywhere across the state right now is running above normal in terms of water, in terms of precipitation on the water year. So even places like Palm Springs, Needles, Los Angeles, Santa Barbara, San Francisco, Eureka, Redding, Tahoe, everywhere is above normal on the water year. So this is a really fantastic start to building our water year. Haven't seen a ton of snow totals yet, but these colder storms really start to show up in December, January, and February. 43 in South Lake Tahoe today, 47 in Truckee, 48 in Pollock Pines, 55 in Angels Camp, 54 in Sonora. Still some clouds in the foothills and in the high country, but for the most part, we're done with the rain and the snow, although we will still likely see a little bit of snow, some mixed precipitation down near Sequoia, Kings Canyon at the higher elevations, parts of Yosemite, again at the higher elevations, could see some snow this afternoon. Out along the Central Coast, 60 in Morro Bay, 58 in Big Sur, 60 in Monterey, 62 Salinas, 60 in Santa Cruz, across the San Francisco Bay, 60 in San Francisco, 59 Pacifica, 60 in Berkeley and Oakland, 63 in Rio Vista, 63 in Vacaville and Fairfield. A lot of low to mid 60s across Northern California today. 62 in Chico, 64 Red Bluff, 65 up at Shasta Lake, but 52 up at Mount Shasta. 49 Lassen National Park, mid to upper 50s out along the North Coast, 56 in Eureka, 59 in Fort Bragg, and across the valley we're going to be in those low 60s. 61 Sacramento, 61 Stockton, and 60 in Modesto. So as we look at Futurecast, things really winding down today. Mostly Mostly sunny skies, though still some clouds across the foothills. Wednesday, more clouds build in, although for the capital region, we'll still have a little bit of sunshine. But here comes that next system late on Wednesday into the overnight on Thursday. It's going to bring rain to the valley and snow back to the high country. Snow levels down to about 6,000 feet. That system's moving out, but this is our next storm system, again arriving really into Thursday. Some colder air continuing Friday, then high pressure building in for the weekend. So we are going to close that storm door for a little bit. Here's the next 10 days. Again, Thursday, really that next chance for rain with highs in the upper 50s, but a nice weekend ahead in the low 60s.
Thank you, Brendan. You've likely heard the term atmospheric river, especially on the West Coast. These are storms that can bring significant rain to the West Coast, and scientists keep a close eye on their impact. After the break, we'll speak to those professionals about how they measure these storms. Welcome back. Before an atmospheric river moves into the West Coast, emergency crews are not the only ones gearing up for the rain. Across the West Coast, researchers work to gather real-time storm data to help with flood risk management and more. Kayla Moeller is in Sacramento tracking how those scientists stay prepared.
Understanding the storms help them make the simple decision of do you fill or do you spill.
Winter storm preparations aren't just done before the weather hits. For atmospheric river researchers, critical work happens during the storm. Lead engineer Doug Alden with the Center for Western Weather and Water Extremes traveled from San Diego to launch weather balloons and collect real-time data to help guide reservoir operations.
We're launching here in Northern California from Bodega Bay and Marysville for this storm. So the weather balloon launches are a key component of a much larger program called Atmospheric River Reconnaissance.
In a place like Yuba County, which is prone to flooding, studying atmospheric rivers is essential. The more we know, the better prepared the county can be when it comes to spillways and flood risk management during the winter.
We're working with our partners at Yuba Water, and we look at the forecast information, and there's a whole team of people at CW3E. We work closely with NOAA and the National Weather Service.
The information collected from this weather balloon launch out of Marysville, California will be added to a worldwide database system. Ready? Ready. 3, 2, 1.
Weather models around the world will pick up that information and they'll use it to improve their forecast capability.
And these balloons allow us to take observations from the surface all the way up to about 80,000 feet in the atmosphere.
Goes up.
Atmospheric rivers were only just coined in the 90s. Research has gotten stronger over the last decade, but there's still a lot more to learn, according to Chad Hecht, a meteorologist with CW3E.
Taking away some of these weather balloon launches could degrade some of the forecast models and not provide as much warning.
The National Weather Service had to reduce weather balloon launches this year due to federal cuts. And while this team isn't directly affected, they say there can still be a ripple effect when it comes to data.
Having these data allows us to improve our forecast capability, not just in the accuracy of the forecast, like where the storm is going, what the intensity is, but it allows us to improve on the lead time.
Still ahead after the break, we'll head to the Northwest, where conditions are actually trending more dry compared to the Southwest. Forecasts there are after the break. Thank you so much for sticking with us here on Weather Out West. We'll get back to your forecast in a moment, but first, the acting chief of the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, will step down after hurricane season. David Richardson submitted his letter of resignation to the Department of Homeland Security yesterday. Richardson's departure comes after months of public controversy and internal frustration at FEMA. Sources tell CNN that plans were already in the works to remove him from the role. Homeland Security officials are getting ready for major reforms that could fundamentally reshape FEMA's future. And getting back to our forecast now, while the Southwest gets battered with back-to-back storms, the Northwest is actually relatively calm right now. Let's head to Eastern Washington with a look at those mild conditions and how that lends itself to fog formation. Meteorologist Thomas Patrick has the forecast in Spokane.
I'm meteorologist Thomas Patrick from Spokane, Washington. Today we had a little bit of light rain early this morning, like before 4 a.m. Since then, it's nice to get a couple sun breaks. As one of my old coworkers used to say, a little bit of sunshine hitting the clock tower there at Riverfront Park. It is nice to see the sunshine. Unfortunately, it does get a little bit cooler today thanks to a wee cold front that just passed through the region. So our morning showers have ended, and honestly, not a whole lot of rain for the rest of the work week here. So a lot more focus going in on the temperature trend for both this week and next week, Thanksgiving week. So here's the cold front. This passed through at 4 a.m. in Spokane, had a little bit of light rain, just a few slivers here. All this is now exiting North Idaho. And while the cloud cover is kind of hit and miss, we'll take even a little bit of sunshine for today. Even our own computer modeling has even thinned out any more rain chances that might try to linger around the region. If anything, it's just going to be over the northeastern Washington mountains. Otherwise, I've actually removed all the rain chances for today and the rest of the week, as our weather pattern is now settling into a pretty stable pattern as opposed to unsettled. So the focus is on the temperatures, where today it is going to be cooler than yesterday because this was a cold front after all. Got 44 for the high in Spokane and Coeur d'Alene as opposed to the 50s, which is where they were yesterday. So that'll be one of the key impacts of this cold front. Also a little bit breezy as a result. We are technically still a little above average. You see the average at 44. But that's close enough that I would call this an average mid-November day. And that's the way it does stay all of this week. Next week could be a different story. And I'm starting to get pretty interested into what our temperature trend or even snow chances could look like, especially around Spokane and the Northwest. So next week, we will absolutely get below average temperatures at some point during the week. Could happen as early as Tuesday, could happen as late as really Thursday or Friday. But it's going to happen at some point, and below average would put highs in the 30s in Spokane. You just saw that average high of 41 this week. It's even colder next week. There's also some snow potential. For now, it looks like the Cascades will definitely get some heavy snow being at least 4 inches of snow on at least one of the following days, November 27th through December 1st. So that's way out in the long-term outlook. However, looking at precipitation chances that far out really warrants a date range that wide. That's a 5-day range. It probably won't snow all 5 of those days for the mountains, probably 1 up to 5. When we look at long-term outlooks like this, precipitation chances can always change. For example, our current modeling actually has snow on Thanksgiving for Spokane. But that's not exactly reportable because that is too far away for that to be solid. It's going to change. We'll monitor it day after day because anything beyond the 7-day forecast can be so wishy-washy in terms of precipitation chances. The temperature outlook tends to be more consistent, so that's why I rely on that a bit more. At some point, the temperatures will drop from the 40s this week to the 30s next week. Just that exact day is something that will be monitored.
Thanks, Thomas. More than 4 months after it sparked in Washington, the Bear Gulch fire is 100% contained. It burned more than 20,000 acres in the Olympic National Forest and closed the popular Lake Cushman for much of the summer. Containment does not mean the fire is completely out. In a new photo, the U.S. Forest Service shows some spots still smoldering. The biggest risk now moving forward is debris flows in the fire's burn scars during the rainy season. Staying in Western Washington, that area has been drenched so far this month, but is getting a relatively mild break right now. Meteorologist Ashley Ruiz is in Seattle watching the couple of showers moving through and the next round of heavy rain.
A very happy Tuesday from Seattle, Washington. I'm King 5 meteorologist Ashley Ruiz with a look at your forecast. We are going to settle into a drier weather pattern, though it's not going to be completely dry. We still have a few lingering showers today, but this is the end of it, at least until late Wednesday. So after midnight Wednesday into Thursday, we'll have a weak system rolling in that will bring some showers to the area, but favoring the Olympic Peninsula and the southwestern coast. Additionally, we could have some pretty gusty gap winds coming through the Cascades Wednesday, and I'll show you that in a minute. Showers are likely at times Saturday into Sunday and potentially into Monday of next week. Next week looks to be cooler than normal and maybe pretty unsettled. That's something we're going to watch carefully heading into the holiday week. But today, only a few showers during the day, more so this morning, then we'll see gradual clearing. Tomorrow morning, waking up to some areas of fog, especially for the South Sound, close to Olympia, Hood Canal, and so on and so forth. But everyone will wake up to at least about 40 degrees, likely going to be even colder than that. But over the weekend, temperatures will come up a little bit, but next week, trending cooler. So what's going on right now? We have passing showers, a weak disturbance moving through. We've had some falling snow in the mountains. This is Snoqualmie Pass, Alpental, so the mid-mountain, so over 4,000 feet, but waking up to a winter wonderland. And our snow levels are going to be about 3,000 to 3,500 feet today, but a lot of the moisture is coming to an end. And thankfully, we finally have some sun out there. Yesterday, it's just been a typical November day here in Seattle and Western Washington. Highs today trending cooler than normal. We'll have highs in the mid and upper 40s, lower 50s. Some spots closer to the coast will actually be even warmer than us in the interior. Tonight we'll have widespread 30s. Seattle, depending on your neighborhood, between about 38 and 41, but you see widespread 30s otherwise. Tomorrow, maybe a degree milder for some spots, especially to the north. We'll have a mix of sun and clouds, but I mentioned it's going to be quite gusty. So we're going to have easterly winds coming through the gaps of the Cascades, and so portions of the foothills could have some wind gusts over 30 miles per hour, and some of these strong wind gusts could even reach the 405 corridor. Let's talk about the shower chances. Into the afternoon, we have a very weak ridge building by the afternoon, and that's just going to help dry us out, but could still have a little bit of lingering precipitation up into the Cascade foothills, and then especially the North Cascades could see some light snow. Then overnight, we'll have some fog developing, as I mentioned, with high clouds streaming in out ahead of this incoming system. A weak one, but still going to bring some showers late Wednesday night and into the first part of our Thursday. But you see how it moves inland and then it just completely dissipates. Not expecting much with this system for Seattle. And then late Friday into Saturday, we'll get another system moving in that could bring us some steady rain Friday night, but increasing rain as the day goes on Saturday, and some lingering rain into Sunday as well. Monday looks to be wetter than Sunday, and it's going to be a little gusty as well. Over the span of the next 7 days, most of the heavy rain or the precipitation is going to be over the Cascades, especially the North Cascades and the Olympic Peninsula. But even here in Seattle and Puget Sound, we could pick up over ½ of an inch of rain, maybe even higher than that. And then, as I mentioned earlier, snow levels are going to come up and then eventually down to pass level once again on Monday. So we'll have to watch out potentially for some tricky pass travel, but that would be especially more so next week. And temperatures are expected to trend cooler than normal as we head into the last week of November, and for Thanksgiving looks to be a little on the chilly side in the low and mid 40s.
Thank you, Ashley. Definitely on the chilly side. Still ahead after the break, we will stay in the Northwest with forecasts from Idaho and Oregon. Boise might be the place to be this week with mild conditions and comfortable temperature. Idaho is looking nice. Hector Mendoza is in Boise with the forecast there.
Well, early on this morning, we saw some very dense fog in many areas, slowly starting to make its way out as we got closer to around 10 o'clock. So that's what we're expecting here. So Ontario seeing a little bit of that fog there early on this morning. This is around 9 o'clock out in Caldwell, where you can see again signs telling people that there's low visibility, as we saw most of that denser fog there from Nampa all the way through Meridian. And here's a look at Boise off on the connector there on our Skycam 7 camera. Again, some areas see much denser fog, other spots don't. So again, that patchy fog is going to continue here through the rest of this morning. But as we head toward this afternoon, a lot of this is going to start to clear up. But there's a bit of a difference there as we head further east there through Mountain Home and even in through the Magic Valley, where we saw nothing of the sort there in terms of fog as we look at Jerome and Twin Falls. So again, that fog looks to dissipate. We'll see a little bit more of that sunshine come along here for the Treasure Valley and some clear conditions in through tonight. Temperatures are also going to slowly start to cool off. Not much really changes when we look at some of the afternoon temperatures, but definitely will start to feel much colder through the next couple of mornings as we start to dip down closer to freezing temperatures. But as we get later on in the week, that pattern is a little uncertain. So we're still paying attention to when we can see some of the timing of showers, a possibility of it coming in Thursday, possibly as late as we can see there in through Monday of next week. But for now, we are going to see that we're going to be stuck between these two systems here, and that's going to bring some of those clouds that come and go here through the rest of this afternoon and through tomorrow, seeing a little bit more of that start to clear up, and temperatures will stay pretty mild in through the next couple of days. So again, as we look at this future cast, the only spot that we're expecting to see any sort of showers is going to be further up north in places there to the central and west central mountains there. So again, showers possible here as we get towards this afternoon through tonight, possibility of that picking back up as we get on towards Wednesday afternoon. And then again, our next chance to see a little bit more of that could possibly come around as we head on into Thursday. And then again, we'll start to affect some of the areas there up and through the mountains as we're going to start to see some of the cooler temperatures there, as you can see by 9 o'clock on Thursday, into the upper 30s, mid 30s there for Mountain Home. So again, we're expecting to see much cooler temperatures. But as we take a look at the Magic Valley, we'll start to notice that temperatures will take a dip after today, getting into the upper 40s, climbing up just a little bit, and then back down a couple degrees as we'll stick around those low 50s. We're going to see a little bit more of that sunshine there Friday in through Saturday with some clouds that'll start to pick up. And again, our next chance to see any sort of precipitation looks likely there to stay on in through Monday of next week. And then as we look at the 7-day here in the forecast for Boise, we're going to notice that those temperatures will drop down just a couple degrees and really doesn't change too much, as some of these panels really only drop down just a degree or two as we continue on here towards the wrap up of the work week. Friday, we'll see a lot more of that, the sunny conditions there. That continues on in through Saturday, with temperatures again in through the morning expecting to stay into those low 30s as we head on in through Saturday. Then as we continue on in through Sunday, here's where we expect the next system to come along, as we have some showery conditions possible through the overnight hours of Sunday in through the afternoon on Monday. We are expecting a possibility of an unsettled week there heading in through Thanksgiving Day, which is next Thursday. But then we're also going to see that some of the temperatures will really start to cool off in through next week. So we'll keep an eye on that as we head on closer into the weekend. But again, temperatures look to stay into those low 50s all the way through the end of the week.
Thank you, Hector. Well, a humpback whale that became stranded on a beach in Oregon has died. Authorities say the 26-foot whale weighed 6,000 pounds. It got tangled in a fishing line near San Marino on Saturday. Rescuers did untangle the whale, but had trouble moving it off the beach. Using a pulley system and other contraptions did not work. Other efforts included digging a trench to keep the whale in water with hopes the high tide might free it itself, but that also failed. Rescuers made the decision to euthanize the whale yesterday, saying it was the most humane option. And back to our forecasts in Oregon, it's also fairly mild for now. Rain is heading back into the forecast. Meteorologist Rod Hill has the timing from Portland.
Well, it was a very chilly start down here in Portland this morning. Here's the deal. We've been so mild lately. I'm Rod Hill, by the way, that this morning getting down to 36 at the airport was the coldest we've been so far this fall. And it was only the third morning that Portland has even been below 40 degrees. so far this fall. So that's pretty mild stuff. Now this map will be corrected when further reports come out. Again, we know for a fact that PDX was down to 36. It shows 39. That 36 was back in like the 2 o'clock hour overnight. Hillsboro 33, that may get adjusted to show a 32-degree temperature. Salem 33, and that could get adjusted to show a freezing temperature as well. We had at least, I saw eyes on one camera that showed some light frost here in the valley. And we had a report down in the Tiger area coming into Portland early this morning of some light frost and some scraping going on area windshields. So yeah, pretty chilly morning for us, certainly compared to what we have not been seeing so far this fall season. Cameras show the clouds is continuing to come in at this hour. Coldest night, I think, overnight tonight into Wednesday morning. Could be colder than this morning in terms of the number of folks getting down to 32 and the number of at least scattered light frost reports that I anticipate we'll see. The valley temperature range to start your Wednesday morning will be 29 to about 37 degrees. The Weather Service has a freeze warning up. Again, this is overnight tonight into Wednesday morning for the gorge along the Columbia from Hood River through the Dalles and all the way out into Arlington, believing there could be some upper 20-degree temperature readings overnight tonight into that area. All right, clouds are marching in. This is a weak system. Radar's been showing some water droplets a lot, but so far nobody reporting any light rain, but we could have a trace of moisture in a few spots. This is Thursday's system, but it's going to weaken and what we call kind of split apart again and send most of the moisture with it back into California. That's been the flow pattern the last couple of weeks. So we'll be tracking that. Here's a closer look at the cloud march coming inland and the fact that there could be some sprinkles being picked up in some areas at this hour. Futurecast doesn't really show anything but clouds. Here it is this morning and then into the afternoon and then later today bringing some breaks in the cloud cover. Tomorrow morning, I think we're pretty clear except for some frosty fog in the morning in the valley. Cloudiness expected to pretty much hold off until anything substantial until either late day Wednesday or Wednesday overnight. This brings a wave of some moisture in overnight into Thursday morning, but watch how quickly, poof, it falls apart. Yeah. So some shower activity Thursday, not expecting much. This afternoon, trying to get up to about 50 or so in Portland, Salem, and Albany, making it one of the cooler afternoons we've had so far this fall. Similar numbers at the beach and Central and Eastern Oregon. You know, wasn't that long ago, Ben was looking at highs in the 60s day after day. Today, only about 47 degrees, and that would match John Day's expected high temperature. 7-day forecast for the Rose City. Here we go. 52 today. Tomorrow we get sun after the frosty start for many. 52 in the afternoon. Some shower activity on Thursday. Weather models like Thursday morning being a better chance in the afternoon. And then a light shower chance on Friday. Right now, the weekend looks dry, especially Saturday.
Thank you, Rod. Still ahead after the break, we will meet an ice maker who is heading to Italy. How she'll make sure the Olympic curling surface is nothing short of perfect. That story is after the break. It is hard to believe the Winter Olympics are fast approaching. They're a little more than 3 months away. And beyond the athletes, there's a Vancouver woman who will also be making the trip to Italy. Devin Haskins introduces us to Lauren Rich.
At the Evergreen Curling Club in Beaverton.
This is the only dedicated ice club in Oregon.
Oh, it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
The Wednesday Morning Curling League gets a few games in.
Yeah.
Yeah! That was fantastic. I love takeout shots.
We are having a great time.
From one end to the other is just a stone's throw away. Each shot based on precision and accuracy.
That was a good one, yeah.
But of course, like any field of play, this frozen playing surface itself needs to be in top shape.
These are our pebble cans. This
Enter Lauren Rich.
It's a big part of preparing the ice for a curling match.
Using a wand with very specific sized holes.
The bigger the number, the smaller the holes.
Ice makers like Lauren spray tiny droplets of very purified water on the ice, which freeze on contact. The bumps, or pebbles, help the stones glide across the ice.
You're good at this.
I practice. Now we can scrape. Now we can just take off the pebble that we just put down.
Scraping, or nipping, as it's called, helps flatten the pebbles to create a uniform height.
One thing that we're always watching is how the snow is building up on the blade. If it's even all the way across, that means we have a really good pebble. That means our pad is flat and that our blade is flat. All of these things need to be flat and even throughout the course of the event.
It is a very meticulous job, and like throwing a stone, is based on precision and accuracy.
But you need that pebble to be even, otherwise you can get waves in the ice and then the pebble will break down over the course of a game, so then we'll scrape that all off and start all over. Yeah, so my background is in physics and optics.
7 years ago, the former research engineer just wanted to watch curling in 2018 during the Winter Olympics. And to learn more about the sport, she went to her local curling club.
So I signed up for Learn to Curl and I went and I tried curling and here I am.
7 years later,
yeah, I bit down hard.
she's not only switched careers,
Yeah. My full-time job is USA Curling, yeah.
but is now headed to Italy.
My phone rang one day and the head ice technician for World Curling called and he was like, hey, so we have this thing called the Olympics. Do you want to go?
A pinch me moment.
Yeah.
That she'll remember forever.
I get to go to the Olympics.
As she helps create elite level sheets of ice for the best curlers in the world.
And I think it's just really incredible to be a part of that and to watch that build up and grow and just watch how the ice changes throughout that process is really cool to be a part of.
All right, how many people want to try curling now? Well, that does it for us here on Weather Out West on this Tuesday. Thank you so much for spending the last hour with us. We'll be back here tomorrow, same time, same place. I hope you have a great day.